Hi there, you've made it. Welcome. You're all logged in, so here we go. Your home screen contains quick links to your recent messages, your quarantine messages, and your account properties. Let's begin with account properties, as it's where you'll configure your security settings. Now note that your solution provider has chosen default settings, so please consult with them before you make any changes. First, we'll decide which security mode you'd like to use for incoming email. Content filtering is the default setting for all accounts. Each incoming email message is assigned a spam score based on a variety of factors. The higher the score, the cleaner the message, and the more likely it is to make its way into your inbox. You can adjust your content filtering setting in this section. Allow listing means that you'll only receive email from people that you specifically designate as being allowed to send you email. You can add individual senders or entire domains in the Allow List section under the User menu. In Allow Listing mode, when an unknown sender tries to email you, or in Content Filtering mode when a message has a low spam score, the message will be treated as spam, which could mean one of several things depending on the following settings. If you've chosen Content Filtering mode, Challenge Response simply bounces messages from dubious senders, telling them that their email couldn't be delivered to you. If you've chosen Allow Listing mode, Change of Address Request returns an automated response to an unknown sender that contains a unique email address they can use to contact you moving forward. Future messages sent to this unique address will pass into your inbox, but the original message will need to be resent. Flag the subject line will deliver the message to your inbox with the words possible spam inserted at the beginning of the subject. Flag the subject line and deliver to delegate will insert possible spam at the beginning of the subject, but deliver the message to someone you delegate who can then decide whether the message is spam or not. Vaporize will delete questionable messages with no notification to you whatsoever. Quarantine the message and send a challenge response or change of address request behaves the same as previously described, except that the initial messages sent to you before their challenge will be placed in your quarantine for you to review. And quarantine only will send questionable messages to your quarantine. You'll receive a scheduled summary that lists all of your messages in your quarantine. We'll go over your quarantine in more detail in a bit. A couple other security settings real quick. You have a block list. It's in the block list section of the user menu that lets you block individual senders or entire domains. Ticking the vaporized messages from senders on the block list instead of quarantining them does just what it says. If someone on your block list tries to email you, their message will be deleted permanently. Spoofing prevention blocks messages from outside senders that appear to come from inside your company. Certain web-based tools and services send messages like this as notifications, so check with your solution provider if you're not sure whether or not to tick this box. And finally, block incoming newsletters and bulk mailings will treat mass marketing type email as spam. Moving on to address settings, when you send a message to someone, the default behavior is that it'll come from your standard email address and the recipient will automatically be added to your allow list. You can change this setting by selecting Create a Protective Address and use it for all future communication. With this enabled, each time you send a message to a new contact, the system will create a random email address for the recipient to use for all communication with you moving forward. The next time someone emails you at one of your protective addresses, their message will not be screened by the content filter. Now, the address on the fly setting allows you to instantly create your own unique email addresses when signing up for services or giving your email address out to people. You simply add .anything between your username and the @ symbol to create a new address. Messages sent to these addresses will bypass the content filter, and each address can be locked down or disabled individually for security purposes. And use this alias for outbound communications lets you send outgoing mail from one of the alias email addresses you've set up in the addresses section of the user menu. Next up is the message format options section. Check the Format Delivery for Microsoft Outlook box if you use Microsoft Outlook to receive email. It'll format incoming messages optimally for the program. Choosing to attach a control panel to the bottom of incoming messages lets you see information about how a message made its way into your inbox, which address it was sent to, and gives you quick options for blocking the sender, allowing the sender, or locking down the address in case a spammer's gotten a hold of it. And finally, Add a Note to Outbound Messages lets you append some text to the end of each message you send, such as your contact information. Under the quarantine settings, the Send a Quarantine Summary option will send you a summary of the questionable messages that have been filtered, at which point you can release messages that aren't spam. You can set this for daily or a couple times a day, whatever you like. The blatant spam threshold will omit messages from your daily quarantine summary based on a score you consider to be obvious spam. If you leave this set at 100, all quarantine messages will appear in your daily quarantine summary. Always Send a Quarantine Summary will send you a summary even if there are no new messages in your quarantine, and partially block quarantine message subject lines will shield you from potentially offensive subject lines by replacing certain letters with dashes. Alright, back to the home screen. Review my account properties, check. And now these other two sections won't take long at all. List my recent messages will basically give you an overview of the messages in your inbox. Let's go there. The default view is the messages you've received, but you can click all to add messages you've been sent and messages that have been classified as spam. Click the little colored boxes in the SMTP result column to learn more about each classification, and click anywhere else to view the history details of a particular message. Aside from viewing info about a message, you'll be able to add or block the sender or domain or filter out messages with the same subject line. Back out to the home screen, list my messages, check, 2 down, 1 to go, let's head into your quarantine. In here, you'll see a list of all the messages the system thinks are spam. So click on the little eye icon to see each message history, just like we did a minute ago. Click the subject of each message to actually see the message. You have several options for each message. Release and allow address releases the message to your inbox and adds the sender to your allow list. Release and allow domain releases the message to your inbox and adds the sender's domain to your allow list. Basically, if the sender is a Gmail user, any other Gmail user would be able to email you, even spammers. So be careful with this setting when you're dealing with popular domains, in other words. Delete and block address deletes the message and adds the sender to your block list. Delete and block domain deletes the message and adds the sender's domain to your block list. Again, be careful with popular domains here. You don't want to block all Yahoo users from emailing you, for instance. You can also choose to simply delete selected messages or all messages in your quarantine, or release selected messages to your inbox without dealing with your allow list or block list. Then back out to the home screen and we're done. So that's a basic overview of your new email security system. Feel free to contact your solution provider if you have any further questions.